Humans of the Cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. We've got a bunch of reveals tonight here. We've got the last Sky Striker card revealed for the secret shiny box in the OCG, and we also have alternate arts revealed for the, I think it's Hidden Collection in the OCG. Really cool little set that has a bunch of like anime kind of moment cards, as well as some like landscape cards that are being introduced here. You've got the overlay network, you've got Battle Royale mode joining, Into the Reigns, all that stuff, as well as like straight up Duel Academy, the card, as well as Duel Tower Alcatraz. Really cool stuff there. We'll go over those. Those are actually pretty interesting. But let's obviously start with our new Sky Striker card. So this is Sky Striker Mobilize Linkage. The name was actually released a couple days ago, so we kind of already knew this, but Linkage. Cool. It's a quick play spell. That's a great start. It's the best kind of card in Yu-Gi-Oh! In my opinion. First effect reveals, if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you can special summon monsters from the extra deck. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, except for Sky Strikers. There's your lock. Also send one other card you control to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon one Sky Striker Ace monster from your extra deck to the extra monster zone, and if you have at least one light and one dark Sky Striker Ace monster on your field and or in your graveyard, the summoned monster gains 1000 attack. I think putting a dark is fairly easy, but putting a light in grave is not the easiest thing in the game. I mean, is the new like Kaiju one light? If so, maybe that works, but I know Ray is dark. I believe, what's that one called? The Link 2 is dark. I don't know what's light. It's kind of weird, but either way, this does just pull a Sky Striker Link straight out of your extra deck, which is really nice. I mean, obviously the downside, you have to have no monsters in your main monster zone. You are locked into Sky Strikers for the rest of the turn, but it does just summon a Sky Striker. And as we all know, like almost all the Sky Striker links are +1s. And once you get one out, you can start linking into more and more and more and just rotate more resources. So this is a nice consistency card for them, because from what I hear from Sky Striker players is the only way you really just outright lose the duel is if you can never get to your extra deck. That's pretty much it. So really cool card to see here. I think the only other part about this card that is a little bit of a letdown for me is there's no clause here that says that it counts as a link summon. And unfortunately, the Link 2 for Sky Striker says if it's special summoned, or if it's link summoned, you can get the effect to like target a monster your opponent controls and banish it until the end of the next turn, unfortunately. So this card does not become just straight up like a Farfa at that point. So it's just straight up not really disruption at all. But it is a really good way that even if your opponent's game plan is to try and clear your board of all Sky Striker monsters, this can be a way to just still like guarantee you're able to connect to your extra deck even on the opponent's turn and get resources back. So pretty cool. I mean, like, I'll take it. I think it's actually a pretty good card. I just think it could have been just slightly better if it could have. I believe you still can summon the Link 2. It just won't trigger to banish a card, which is unfortunate, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So we'll take it. Not bad. As far as reprints go for the Hidden Collection, we've actually got alternate arts for Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, and Dark Magician Girl. They're all very anime-y. They're all great. Honestly, I think they're all really cool. I actually think out of these, normally I wouldn't say this, but I think Blue Eyes is my favorite, followed by Dark Magician Girl, and then Red Eyes. Red Eyes looks kind of weird and like skinny, floppy kind of dragon, which I don't love, where I think Blue Eyes looks a little more proportionate, which, you know, looks cool. So I like the art. I like alt arts. They're cool. Very nice. And then we finish up here by moving into our Hidden Collection Blast from the Past. These are a bunch of like landscapes kind of cards, but let's check them out. First and foremost, we have Duel Tower Alcatraz. It's a field spell, and it reads as follows. At the start of the battle phase, activate this effect. Each player can reveal one monster from their deck except a monster with question mark attack. And if they do, banish those monsters face down. The player that revealed the monster with the highest attack can special summon one monster from their hand. And if they do, it can attack directly. Interesting. But it's only from the hand. Okay. Second effect, once per turn during the end phase, you can activate this effect. If this card is still on the field during the end phase of your next turn, destroy all cards on the field. That is very interesting. This card is weird for sure. It kind of gives you like that that like war kind of effect where it's like you both pick a card, but you pick a card, it's not random. You pick any monster. So do you show the monster with the highest attack? Even though you could potentially be risking the fact that if your opponent shows something higher, well, even if they show something lower, you still are banishing that card from your main deck. And if it's something integral, like I don't know, Eldritch the Golden Lord, where in Eldritch the Golden Lord variants, sometimes that's literally in a pure variant, that's the only monster you play. So you're literally just saying, hey, banish one of your Eldritches. So they have to get them out of the deck, and you know, if they don't, they're going to, you know, pay for it. Which is cool. And then the second effect's kind of nice. It forces your opponent to either get rid of it or the whole board's going to get wiped, which is kind of cool. So I kind of like that effect maybe a little bit more in terms of competitive usage. But yeah, can potentially help you extend from hand. Not the craziest thing in the world, but interesting. Next up here, we have Duel Academy. This is another field spell, and you gain these effects based on the types of monsters on the field. Okay. If you control a warrior, beast, or pyro, or if there is a warrior, beast, or pyro monster on the field, once per turn, if you activate a trap card, you can target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. That's not too shabby. I mean, if it's in an archetype that like has really easy access to very flexible trap cards that can activate at different points, just getting access to just getting an extra pop on top of that is pretty cool. I like this any card also. So you're popping monsters and spell traps. Really good. Not a bad first effect. The second effect reads, if there is a dinosaur, sea serpent, or thunder monster on the field, a little bit less used types than like warrior and beast, I guess, for like tri-brigade stuff. Once per turn, if you activate a spell card, you can inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. Again, nothing crazy, but that's like a nice little bonus effect. All you have to do is activate a spell while you control a dino, or a sea serpent, or a thunder, which if you're playing a certain deck, like that may be really easy to do. Just dink an extra 100 on your opponent, or 1,000 on your opponent. Yeah, sure. And the last effect, if there's a machine, fairy, or fiend, this is probably the most common one, aside from warrior at the top, but like these three combined is probably more popular. Machine's a very popular, fairy somewhat, and then fiend somewhat, whereas warrior's probably more than all of them, but beast and pyro, whatever. If there's one of those on the field, once per turn, if you activate a monster effect, you can target one face-up monster you control. It gains 1,000 attack. That is a permanent gain, but it's just 1,000 attacks, nothing too crazy. So the first effect's definitely the most important thing, so I probably wouldn't even consider this card except for a like trap-based deck that also is going to consistently put these types on the board. But other than that, it's cool. I actually think this one is kind of cool. Like that first effect is actually maybe worth in certain decks, as long as they're, I don't know, a warrior deck that uses traps. I know they're more combo oriented and battle phase oriented, but generally, if you found something that could work with that, that'd be pretty cool. Moving on here, we have Ready, Set, Duel. There's a continuous spell card. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. The first effect reads, when this card resolves, if you control no other cards, you can add a Synchron monster from your deck to your hand. Okay, now we're cracking. We just have a Rhoda card. Very cool. Very, very cool. Second effect, once per turn, during your standby phase, place one signal counter on this card. So you have to activate this, and it has to get all the way around back to your next standby to get one counter. Third effect, you can remove 2 signal counters from your field and send this face-up card to the graveyard to draw 2 cards, then send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. That is so slow. Oh my god. I mean, listen, it's possible. Especially if like you're playing a Synchron deck and maybe your combo gets interrupted by hand traps or something going first, then like if you do get into somewhat grindy duel, your opponent is going to feel the pressure of this card, like, oh, this is looming around the corner. If they can't finish you off, then you are going to get a draw 2 discard one, or draw 2 send one, and that can actually be really powerful. So yeah, I like this card. I mean, even just for the first effect, right? Searching Synchrons could be very helpful in a synchro based deck. Very cool. All right, moving on here, we have Overlay Network, a continuous spell. Again, you can only use the first effect once per turn. During your main phase, you can activate one of these effects. The first one reads, target a face-up monster you control that has a level. Special summon one monster with the same level from your hand or grave in defense mode. Its effects are negated, but you cannot special summon from the extract for the rest of the turn except Exceed monsters. That is fine. I would assume in most decks you'd even be attempting to play this. You would only be playing really Exceeds anyway. Cool. And the second effect, target one Exceed monster you control. Add one card attached to it to that card's owner's hand. That's also pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, like if you make, I mean, I'm thinking about like sharks, right? You make like a Bahamut or a Kraken, you could activate this card to just like add a Buzzsaw, right? Buzzsaw was a 1-card Kraken or Bahamut, and then you just add it back as material, and then you just have like a guaranteed good follow-up. Or same thing, like if you just have a level 4 on field, this can just reborn any level 4 engrave. It's not a bad card. This could be a generically good like extender / follow-up card for Exceed based decks, and plus the artwork looks really cool on it. This like badass Exceed swirl going on in here. Very cool. Next up here we have Battle Royale mode joining. It's a continuous spell. Again, activate this card by targeting an effect monster on the field. The first 2 times that target would be destroyed by battle each turn. It's not. When that target is finally destroyed by battle, the player that destroyed it gains 2,000 life points. Okay. And if the turn player's opponent takes battle or effect damage, they can apply this effect. Special summon a level 4 or lower monster from your hand or deck, and if you do, lose 2,000 life points. That's very interesting. This card almost has like chicken game type vibes, right? Because all you have to do is like deal life points to your opponent. That could include just summoning something decently beefy and walking over a monster. That could include playing a deck that has like built-in engine ways to like attack your opponent directly, like Zodiac. And if you do, special summon a level 4 or lower monster from hand or deck, and like it doesn't even negate the monster's effects. And then as long as you have a way to like clear this card out of the spell and trap zone, even though you would take 2,000 there, your opponent wouldn't even get a chance to make use of this card on their turn. This card's kind of interesting. I'm not gonna lie. This could be a spicy going second type card for sure. Very interesting. And the last card here we have is obviously Into the Brains. Normal spell card. Finally a normal spell. You can only activate 1 card with this card's name per turn. First effect reads, special summon 1 monster from your hand. Its effects are negated. Then immediately after this effect resolves, link summon using that monster you control. This link summon cannot be negated. Also, your opponent can activate cards or effect when a monster is link summoned this way. So even on summon, but okay, I guess you could link into something, and then like if it has effects that activate on summon, they can't really fuck it up, which is cool. And the second effect, if a link monster or monsters you control is destroyed by battle or card effect while this card's in the graveyard, you can banish this card to add 1 monster with the same original type as that monster from your graveyard to your hand. That's actually a pretty good follow-up, right? I think about Cyberse mainly, right? This ends up in grave. It's not quite a Banelinks to protect, but it says if your opponent ever does destroy any Cyberse on your field, or any link specifically, link monster, you just add any Cyberse from your grave back to your hand. That could be a Lady Debug in like a Code Talker deck. That could be a potential Cyberse gadget type stuff. Getting some pretty good follow-up cards for the next turn, which is not too shabby. I mean, listen, it takes an extra card to extend from hand, but it also gives you extra value in terms of follow-up. So I don't hate this card. Also don't love it. I think it's okay. I just think Cyberse type decks and link decks in general just already have so many good extenders. I just don't know if this card would make the cut into many decks, to be honest. But some interesting stuff here. I mean, like, honestly, for being a hidden collection cards, there's actually some spicy shenanigans going on, right? The like being able to like just pop a card on the field on the opponent's turn when a trap is activated, right? Being able to just search any Synchron is spicy. Being a decent extender for Exceed decks, and having the weird like chicken game effect here. There's like a lot of interesting effects here, and of course the Sky Striker card as well being introduced. Pretty cool stuff, not too shabby. But I want to hear your thoughts, of course. Let me know down below your thoughts on any of these cards specifically. I'm more worried about the Sky Striker card than the other stuff, but feel free to let me know your thoughts on those cards as well. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.